You're listening to the LJS podcast brought to you by LearnJazzStandards.com. If you get value out of today's episode, consider adding value back by leaving us a one-time, monthly, or annual donation at LearnJazzStandards.com/support. We appreciate your help. All right, everybody, welcome to the LJS podcast. My name is Brent, your host, and this is episode 29, where today we're going to be talking about our Jazz Challenge number 4, which is Learn a New Jazz Lick. This is the last of a 4-part series of jazz challenges I've been giving you. And if you haven't gone back and taken those other jazz challenges, I highly encourage you to do that. Our first jazz challenge was to write your own contrafact, and then the second jazz challenge was to learn or practice the blues in all 12 keys, and last week's challenge in episode 28 was to write your own jazz solo, and this time around, you're going to be learning a new jazz lick. So I'm very excited to talk about that. Now, we're doing all these jazz challenges in preparation in honor of our first Ecorse, which is 30 Days to Better Jazz Playing. 30 Days to Better Jazz Playing. It's essentially 30 days of focused, goal-oriented practicing things that actually will improve your jazz playing, things that professional jazz musicians do constantly over and over again. And if you want to learn more about this course, in the show notes, I'm going to have a link to a page that describes the course a little bit better and gives you an opportunity to sign up to get notified when that's released. It's going to be released in October 2016, so coming up here in a second. And of course, if you're listening from the future, it probably is out by now, but you can only get notified about the release of this course by going to that page and signing up. So if you're not on the website, you can go to LearnJazzStandards.com and then click on podcast in the top menu and then find this episode 29, and you'll find the link in the show notes. So be sure to check that out. Okay, without further ado, let's jump into today's show. I'm going to talk about our Jazz Challenge number 4, which is Learn a New Jazz Lick. So the best place to start when talking about this Jazz Challenge number 4 is just simply by defining what is a lick. Maybe you don't know. A lick is really just a small musical phrase or musical idea, usually played over the context of a given chord progression. So it could be a musical idea played over a 2-5-1 chord progression, or a 1-6-2-5 chord progression, maybe a 1-7-4-7 chord progression like you see in the blues, maybe a minor 2-5-1. Doesn't really matter what it is, but a lick is just a small musical phrase, small musical idea over a given chord progression. And so it's really not too complicated. It's a piece of information that you can really just kind of extract from a larger piece of music and really hone in on. That's kind of the importance of this practice this week. Now, with the lick you're going to learn this week, I'm actually going to encourage you to find your own lick. I'm not going to actually give you a lick to learn. Now, on our blog, we do have plenty of resources to do that, and actual licks that we've given you. So if you're ever on the blog on LearnJazzStandards.com, you can certainly find lots of that stuff. But this week, I kind of encourage you just to listen to a recording that you like and try to find something that sticks out to you, something that you, while you're listening, you go, oh, I really like that. I'd like to learn that. That sounds really cool. And I'm interested in trying to figure out what this musician was playing over this chord progression. So try to find something like that. And what you're going to do is you're going to extract it by ear from the recording. Okay, so you're going to have to learn this note for note from the recording. If you're not used to learning music by ear, this is a great practice. There's really no big tricks to it other than you just got to do a lot of it and practice it over and over again. Of course, if you're not used to doing this, it might be smart to, figure out a lick at a reasonable tempo, something that's not too ridiculously technical and hard to grasp by ear. But I want you to learn it by ear from a recording that you like. I don't want to put a stipulation of what you have to learn for this challenge this week. So now let me talk really quickly. Why are we doing this? Why are we learning a lick? Why are we learning this small musical phrase this week? And I want to talk again about the importance of jazz language. I talk about this a lot on this podcast, but truly, you will never understand this music. You'll never get it. You'll never really be able to play it if you're not treating it like a language, right? And to learn a language, what do we have to do? Well, we have to immerse ourselves in the culture. We have to be around jazz music, other jazz musicians. We have to be listening to the language. That's part of it. Listening to lots of jazz music. We have to be writing it. We went over that with last week, writing down our own solo. And also our first jazz challenge, writing your own contrafact. Writing it down can help you just understand and analyze the language and understand exactly how it works. And then you have to be playing it. You have to be mimicking it, right? You have to be actually learning vocabulary and expressing that. And that's exactly what this is. Learning a jazz lick is like learning vocabulary. It's like learning a phrase or a sentence in a foreign language or another language. And that's just going to get you one step closer to communicating effectively, okay? So jazz is like a language. So the importance of jazz language it's really important. And this is one way to do that. I often talk about learning entire solos by ear on the blog and on the podcast. And that's incredibly important. That's a great practice. It's a great way to get inside the mind of a particular jazz musician that you like or a jazz musician you're studying. But this is extracting a small piece of that and really honing in on that information. So I really do believe it's important to do this, to learn jazz licks, to take small phrases, extract them, and really, really focus on them. And so that's what we're doing. That's why I want you to do this. Now, I want to speak into one more thing that's important about this practice, and that is repetition. I only want you to focus on this one lick that you learn for this entire week, or even 2 weeks. It's up to you how long you want to spend on this challenge. But I really want you just to hone in on it and not learn a bunch of other musical information. I believe strongly in repetition. I believe strongly that oftentimes less is truly more. If you're able to really digest that musical information that you're working on and really get it into your subconscious and really get it under your fingers, really get it into your voice, you're going to be able to allow that musical language, that jazz language, to start actually coming out naturally in your playing. Okay, so focus on small pieces of information at a time and really get as much as you can out of it, rather than just learning a bunch of stuff. That's just a common misconception: is if I learn a bunch of stuff, a bunch of songs, a bunch of licks, a bunch of solos, then I'm going to be a great jazz player. Well, sure, but you can get a lot more out of it if you just focus and give it time. Jazz is a lot about time. It takes time to learn the language. So give yourself that time. And we really do this in the 30 Days to Better Jazz Playing course. We really hone in on specific tasks and approach these goals for our playing in that kind of a light of repetition. So repetition is important, and so I want you to just focus on this lick and try not to learn a bunch of other stuff while you're taking this challenge. Now, an important thing to keep in mind when you were learning this lick is, first you, of course, listen to the lick, that you find the lick, it catches your ear, and then I want you to listen to it over and over and over again, right? Because I don't want you to just learn it without actually truly knowing it or having it in your ear. The first step is to really get it in your ear. So stop, don't take out your instrument yet, just listen to that lick over and over and over again until you really feel like you get it, like you get the idea of it. And preferably, you're able to sing it, okay? Don't underestimate that. Be able to sing it. If you can sing it, you can play it. I know that's a cliche saying, but there is a lot of truth in it. If you get it inside of your subconscious, in your psyche, it's going to be so much easier for you to just translate it on the instrument, right? We want to have the language inside of our head, and then the only obstacle that should be left is getting it on our instrument, and that's where practice comes in. So be able to sing that and be able to know it by ear first once you find it. Then pull out your instrument, and the goal, listen to this closely, the goal is that you can play the lick with the recording so that you're matching that artist's phrase. Okay, that's very important because you're really trying to get inside of how they played it. Now, of course, down the road, the lick might mutate into something completely different in your playing. Of course, naturally you're going to take some jazz language from that lick, but eventually down the road you're probably not going to be quoting that lick verbatim, and that probably shouldn't be the goal either. The goal should be to extrapolate some jazz language from that, and eventually you kind of make it into your own thing. But the first place you got to start is by really knowing that lick well and understanding how the musician phrased that lick, what they meant to do with that lick, and to really match what they do. So be able to play along with the recording. Okay, so in honor of this challenge, I've of course gone ahead and taken the challenge myself. I wouldn't tell you to do this without doing it myself. And so I actually found a lick, a Sonny Rollins lick, and it's off of the album The Bridge. Hopefully you've heard that album before. If not, check out that record, The Bridge. And it's his version of Without a Song. And this particular lick starts at 1 minute and 30 seconds if you want to follow along. In the show notes, I'll have a YouTube video of that song in there, so you can check that out and follow along and listen along. And it's kind of over basically a 1, and then it goes to a minor 4. So it's kind of the turnaround, basically going back into the second A. So, or rather the bridge, I think in this case. I guess it goes into the bridge. So that's kind of the context. And so I'm going to go ahead and play this for you with the recording so that you can hear it. All right, so there's my lick. There's my Sonny Rollins lick that I've learned for this week, and I'm going to be practicing that all week long and getting that into my memory and under my fingers. So I'm going to be focusing on that. So now it's your turn. It's your turn to take this jazz challenge number 4. Find your lick, learn your lick, and I'd love to see your lick. So if you're on the website, go to the comments section below and post your lick so that we can all see it. This is a jazz community, so would love to see what you're working on. All right, and that's all for today's show. I want to thank you so much for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to post your lick, a video of you playing your lick in the comment section if you're on the website. And remember to sign up for the 30 Days to Better Jazz Playing e-course. It's in the show notes, the link there to learn more about that. And also, if you got value out of today's show, consider adding value back. You can leave us a one-time monthly or annual donation by going to learnjazzstandards.com/support, or if you're on the website, click the support button below the player. It really helps us continue to produce this podcast, to continue to provide this education for everybody. So if you can help us out there, we would greatly appreciate it. All right, next week, we're going to come out with the big episode 30. We're looking forward to seeing you then.